DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The game, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, Connor Newt here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful start to your week. A beautiful day here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I must say, the Tennessee Titans, preseason juggernauts that they are. I'm kidding. It doesn't matter that the Tennessee Titans won 1916 against the Seattle Seahawks, but they're what, like 9-2 in their past 11 preseason games? Clearly,
they got that going for them.
Clearly, if anything could possibly prove to you that the preseason barely matters, it's the fact that the Tennessee Titans are like 9-2 in the preseason over the past 3+ years, or whatever it is. But it is a Reaction Monday, and Reaction Mondays are brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. So let's get started. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. And it was a tough watch once again last night in prime time against the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to cover it all. Of course, Cam Ward, the starting defense. Yikes. Let us know what you think. 615-737-1025. But Derek Mason, you like to isolate yourself on a Reaction Monday.
Mm-hmm.
You do not like to listen to what other people have to say about the game. You do your own research.
Mm-hmm.
You watch your own film. You come up with your own opinions. They are not skewed by anybody else's opinion. So I just want to cede the floor to you, Derek Mason, and you let us know where we should start today.
Man, it's, watching practice and thinking, okay, what happened last week in San Francisco? Okay, it happened. They went out there, long flight. I'm trying to make excuses for them, and I'm being honest and up front. I'm trying to find the silver lining in all of this. And I'm thinking, okay, they went out there to travel, so maybe they didn't have their legs underneath them. Okay, whatever. It happened. Let's just can that one and move forward. They come out. They have a really good week. Cam, first day back. What was it? 20-something for 22 for 29, somewhere around there. He was just on fire. So everything was trending. Even what we saw practicing against Seattle, everything seemed to be trending upward. And it's like, okay, all right, maybe there was something to what I was thinking, the sea leg, meaning, the jet lag, so to speak, going out to San Fran, the power grid right next door, all that stuff. Then I turn on the television and I'm excited to watch this game. What I see first, and honestly, it was a total surprise. I was flabbergasted. The defense. Flabbergasted. The defense. It was disappointing. And when you tell your kid you're disappointed, and as a father, when you tell your kid you're disappointed in them, I think that hurts more than anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Because they don't want to disappoint you.
I'm not
as
mad.
A parent.
I'm just disappointed.
I'm disappointed. I'm not mad. I can't even I'm just disappointed.
Cut you like a knife.
Exactly. And when I saw watching that, I was just disappointed. I was disappointed in the defense because I still believe they're better than that, at least up front, the front seven. I think they're better, led by Jeffrey Simmons. I got to believe they're better than that. I have to. Jeff's on the defensive line. Cedric Gray is playing. Cedric Gray is flying around. I'm telling you, that dude is the second best player on that defense, and he may just be the second best player on the team. Well, third behind Big Sly, Joey Sly. But I'm watching the defense led by Jeffrey Simmons, and they are running and moving the football. And I'm thinking, like, if they can't get pressure against the second unit, I got question marks about the secondary. It's going to be bad. If our front seven, as good as I believe they are, if they can't stop a second unit, man, we got some troubles. So I said, okay, defense, they run down there and they score. I'm like, okay, the offense is going to be all right. Starts off pretty good. It does. But even in all of that, you had missed throws. You had still that lack of sort of pocket awareness a little bit with the quarterback. You had timing that wasn't there. But even with all of that, I look at the offensive line, Skoronski in particular. I think Carmona played another good game. I think JC played a good game. Moore's going to have to get better. He and the center are going to have to get better. And like I said about Cedric Gray, Peter Skoronski, he's an all-pro. He's going to be an all-pro. This dude he gets better every time I turn on the tape. He's getting better. But the problem is your quarterback isn't getting better. He's not. And I believe he can, but it's just not. It's not as bad. I'm watching the game, and we were texting, and it was like, this is bad. But then I went back and watched the tape, and it was like, it wasn't that bad, but still, there were things things you need to hit. A crossing route to Carnell Tate playing man-to-man when the outside guy ran him off. It's a opening. You throw it too high instead of just leading him on the trajectory he's going. You see it. Ain't really no rush. You see it. But you kind of flicked it. Those are the things he's going to, because they're going to be open, I believe. They both going to scheme it up. Cam has to hit it. And that was, to me, that throw. Because he didn't have, I thought some throws he may have, like the fade route, should have been a PI. I was like, well, maybe he could have led him up the field a little bit, but it is what it is. But that one throw is pretty much indicative of how this whole thing has been going for Cam. Up and down, up and down, up and down. That throw, that was a wide open throw, honestly.
To me, Willie, the throw that Derek is discussing, it was 1st and 10, I think at the Seattle 40, somewhere around there. Clean pocket, plenty of time to throw, and just misses Carnell Tate. We saw the play he made to Gunnar Helm, and Gunnar Helm needs to stay in bounds on that play. Mm-hmm. But we know, Willie, that Cam Ward can make those throws, those improvisational throws. The major concern for a lot of Titans fans about Cam Ward is, okay, we know he can make those playground-esque passes, but how about the common passes, the traditional passes? And then you see the play that Derek's describing. To me, that was the most concerning play that Cam Ward made last night, even more so than the fumble that, fortunately for the Titans, went out of bounds. But I echo most of, if not all, of everything that Derek just said.
It's not so much one play for me. It's just an overall look for, and I think you could say this about the whole roster right now, but for Cam, for sure, it's just I'm looking for big signs of progress, answer questions, the questions that came away after last year's rookie year. And it just dawns on me, it just, I think by now we should be seeing like some real flashes of brilliance, somewhere like, that's the talent coming out right there. That's the first pick in the draft. I just very seldom am saying that to myself. And then, as you guys are pointing out, there's just a number of, I don't know if I would call them routine, but to be a good quarterback, the plays that you've got to hit, the fade routes for me are the big example in my book. There were 3 of them, and all 3, I think he's making the right decision. And this is vanilla stuff. This is a preseason. It's one-on-one. It's a touch throw. Somewhere in there, you got to connect on one of the 3. I know that actually one of them was pass interference against the other team. Questionable call. I didn't think it was a great throw. Another one probably should have been pass interference against the Seahawks. They didn't call it. But I think a better throw could be a connection there. It's there. It's the right read. And then the third one was actually the first one chronologically. That was the one to Carnell Tate that went off his fingertips. It's just you should be hitting these more, right? If you miss one, fine. The other 2 should be caught. Or if you miss 2, okay, but these other 2, hit that. There's just not enough connections by now. Hopefully the light will come on. I do think that Daboll, I like his scheming, some 1, 2, 3 passes out, high percentage throws. I think that's going to help. And I do think the starters on the offensive line look promising. The pass protection is better. The run blocking is pretty good. So I think he's going to have a better environment around him is Cam. But the consistency has got to turn up a lot.
Yeah, he made some throws. He got the ball. I like his connection with Robinson now. It seems like it's forming a little bit. But like I told you guys, those plays are good, but they need explosive plays. They need that hit on that crossing route to Tate. They need that fade to Elliott. You throw that more upfield, Elliott can run under it. It should have been a pass interference. I don't know what the hell the ref was looking at, but it should have been pass interference. But even with that, if you throw it more up the field, then that is a easier catch, and I think it's an easier call for the referee that sits back there. But you have opportunities where the offense just doesn't seem like it's communicating past 7 yards. It seems like there's a disconnect past 7 yards. He can hit Wandale. He can hit Pollard coming out the backfield. He can hit Tajay, But when you're just dropping back, straight drop back and throw, there's a disconnect between that 7 yards and whatever else is behind that or above that. Because they haven't completed enough of those passes consistently for me to think otherwise. Again, the short stuff, I think he has that mastered. I think some of the flat routes needs to be a little bit better. They're going to have to be on the up shoulder so he can run and turn up. But I think he has that stuff. He's pretty good. It's that 7+.
I think this falls in line with what you're discussing, Derek, and I want to give a shout out to Ian Safar from Robbie and Rex Road for pointing this out to me. Zachary Kruger of Roto World put this out last night after Cam Ward exited the game. Quote, per True Media, after tonight's outing, Cam Ward has upped his average depth of target on completed passes to 1.2 this preseason. Of the 13 passes he has completed, his longest traveled 6 yards in the air. And context matters. If Gunnar Helm catches that ball in bounds, that number changes. If Carnell Tate doesn't drop that pass, that number changes. But I understand this idea of, hey, take what the defense gives you. And he made a really nice play to Tony Pollard that Tony Pollard took up, 30+ yards, something like that.
Right. Two Seahawks collided. They picked each other.
But you know what?
Helped.
It was a big gain, and I'll take it. But to me, again, his average depth of target on completed passes this preseason, 1.2 yards. Like I know we want Cam Ward to simplify some of the things he does, but maybe this is to your point, Derek.
I'm just looking more macro. Like no stat. Like I know too, everybody's concerned that Carnell Tate hadn't caught a pass in the 2 games. Those are things that are secondary to me. It's just the look. It's the look. And you're playing against the backups.
Yes.
You should be having matchups that are around the field that you should be able to exploit even when you're playing vanilla and not scheming. It should look better. It's puzzling that you can't have more success where it's all lined up for you to do that. So I'm still scratching my head some, but I don't think the roster overall is where it's going to need to be, but I'm now becoming a little bit more concerned with Cam that I got to see more. I want to see a breakthrough, even if it's not every week. There need to be some games here where he gets hot and you start to see some plays that have you nodding your head or putting your thumbs up and said, okay, that's what we're looking for. Now we need more of it. He's not even getting to that yet.
Yeah, he's not. There's no fluidity in this offense at all, I think. I want him, and I know the coaches do, take what the defense gives you. I understand that, and be patient with that. And I think, but when you have an opportunity to hit those guys down the field, y'all got to connect. That's why I said anything past 7 yards, 8 yards, there is a disconnect. It's been that way in each one of the games that they've played in, San Francisco and now Seattle. In practice, They hit him. And that's great. Keep doing that. But eventually, you're going to have to take what you do on a practice field and implement it in the game, real time. And what is happening is he's not doing it. I still believe the kid can play. I just believe that somehow something's going to have to click for him. Maybe once the season start, the roster set, then you can kind of go because now you're game planning, to get specific guys the ball and you want to match it up and do all that stuff. And I believe Dabo can do that. That's why I'm not panicking. But like I said before the game, there is a sense of urgency to see something more than what we're seeing. Again, the short stuff is good. He's doing that. Be patient, stay with it. But the thing is, when you have an opportunity to make big plays in a game, because they are few and far between, when you get opportunities to make plays on in situations where that's a play, only thing that's going to mess that play up is you overthrow the ball.
Well, there's a question I have going into the break, just to ponder.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're going to hit a lot of specifics today, but I keep falling back on this. What is Cam Ward's biggest strength? Because I'm not really sure what the answer is. Does he have one trait? Like when Steve McNair was a developing young quarterback, he didn't read defenses the best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He got better in that area. But while he was learning that, he was tough. He could run. He could make something happen. He had that football sense. I searched, what are all the traits of a quarterback? Reading defenses, great touch, throwing the different passes, being able to run, being able to be smart in the pocket. I can't put my finger on one thing that Cam Ward is like, okay, if all else fails, he's got these two things. I don't know if I can name one.
We talked about that last week when we had the game manager conversation as inspired by Blake Bedingfield of paulkaharski.com. We were talking about some other quote unquote game manager quarterbacks in the NFL. We mentioned Bo Nix. Bo Nix has a superpower. He can really scramble. He thrives outside the pocket, creating offense outside the pocket. We talked about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, incredibly accurate, able to evade pressure, doesn't get sacked. He has a superpower. To your point, Willie, I agree with you. I don't know what Cam Ward's superpower is. I'm not sure if he has one. 615-737-1025. All right. Let's hear your reaction. It's already coming fast and furious on the text line. We'll get to it next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home with a $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service.
What were your thoughts on the offense overall? I know a couple guys failed to make plays.
Yeah. Again, thought the first drive was good. We went out there, got some points. Thought Cam again was good with the ball, good decision making. We just couldn't connect on a couple of the deep throws. But overall, it's got to be better, guys. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It does got to be better, but at the same time, there's always going to be things that we can take from. The urgency doesn't change, but the one thing that I would challenge our offense on, and I would challenge everybody, is just those 2 4th and 1s that we had. We've got to be able to convert those. But either way, just speaking for Cam, he got a little loose with the from a ball security standpoint on that 2nd and 1. But I do want to tip my cap to that linebacker. I mean, he made a hell of a play, very very heads up play to get the ball out.
What do you?
That was Robert Saleh after last night's preseason game. Look, guys, the Titans aren't going to win very many games this year, so a win is a win is a win. Just take it. A little Beebs?
Yeah, I got to figure out the theme.
You have to figure out the theme.
I said y'all got to figure out.
Okay.
Y'all have been crazy, Willie. And I said this.
Figure out your own theme. Like,
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll just figure it out as we go.
Yeah, figure it out as we go.
So we
man.
have a theme. All right.
There is a theme.
As my son has started saying, we're rolling with the punches, baby. I don't know where he got that from.
But he's right.
We're rolling with the punches, baby. All right, let's get to your reaction. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caleb says, talking about the starting defense, I'm grasping at straws here, but with the fact Gus Bradley is calling the defense in the preseason, give any room for hope when Saleh starts calling plays week 1, LOL.
He's called plays in the second half, and Saleh has called the plays in the first half. That's what Saleh said last night after the game. So he's not calling the plays. Saleh is calling the plays. He will be calling the plays when the season
throughout
starts.
the game.
Yeah. But he explained that he wants Gus Bradley to stay sharp as a defensive play caller, so he's letting him do it in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
Do they look better in the second half?
They're not really calling that many plays right now, right? It's
It is a big vanilla.
Yeah.
All right, I have to laugh at this text.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we need to institute a moratorium of sorts. Is moratorium worthy of a bell?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. One texter says, start Levis, sit Ward, and work on him with hopes to start him next year in the new stadium. He's not ready. Did you see Will Levis last night?
Avengers assemble, man.
Did you stay up late enough to watch Will Levis? Will Levis is not happening.
He orchestrated the winning touchdown drive. What do you mean?
Oh, God.
What do you mean? We just heard that, didn't we?
That's the theme.
Precisely.
Probably not.
Probably not. Look, I may have to institute a ban on people advocating for Will Levis. Will Levis is not going to be on this team in a week. First cuts are what, a week from today, a week from yesterday, something like that. Will Levis is not going to be on this roster on September 1st.
But these are the same people that would think, Tupac is still alive.
He's
or
not.
Elvis is Elvis is still alive.
Now I know he's dead.
Will Levis is not going to be the quarterback of this team. No.
Also,
But you know it was interesting. Here's the thing. He doesn't look good, Levis. But it's not.
You sure?
It's not. But people still are throwing that out there because they want to see Ward look way better, and he hasn't looked that much better.
That is true.
Levis. This was interesting last night to me. They ran a lot of designed runs with Levis, and they were good. They were good plays. Levis can run. Cam Ward can't run. He is not a runner. I think I've seen enough. He is not going to be a good, effective running quarterback. It's not like he won't ever have a good running play, but that's not a strength at all. His escaping, his knowing when to run, to see the lanes, and I don't know if they're going to call design runs for him. He's certainly not going to in the preseason, but this tells you about where they think Levis is. Levis, they're like, hey, Will, just run it. Let's keep this clock running. But he actually can run.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. He
Yeah.
can run. But I'm starting to, I believe Willie now. I have come over to I believe Willie. And I'm going to continue to believe Willie until he shows me different. This kid, this young man, and I don't mean kid in a disrespectful way, but I'm 30 years older than him.
He's a kid to you.
Yes, but this young man, he can't run. He hasn't shown the ability to run. I don't know. Again, he's running like Charlie Brown to the sideline. Ball all out like a loaf of bread, running like a baby again.
I was going to say,
It's like, dude.
I was going to say Bambi. He runs like Bambi.
I said Charlie Brown, but a baby. He runs like a baby. It's
I
just
think
like
Bambi was a baby at that point.
What are they?
What a classic.
Fawns?
What a classic.
Are they?
I think
little
so.
Small deers.
Yeah.
Fawns?
Yeah.
But I believe you now, Willie. And until he shows me consistently otherwise, I don't think he can run. And I think that's a part of the offense that is going to be missed. I believe, because look at every quarterback that he's had. They've had the ability to run, which brought another dimension to the game. Cam hasn't shown it. I've been trying to believe this, but again, it's like I'm over here beating my head against a brick wall. I'm done. Until he shows me that he can run effectively and run and get out of the way with the football, then I have no other reason to believe anything other than he cannot run.
One texter says, we don't talk about Hendon Hooker enough. No, I think we do.
We don't talk about him enough because he ain't playing.
I don't need to talk about Hendon Hooker,
Hey,
guys.
Hendon Hooker got the big completion on third down that ended the game last night. They got the first down, and it was victory formation after that.
I'm
So
glad
there.
you're finding some silver linings in all
A
of
golf
this,
clap,
Willie.
everybody.
That's good.
For Hendon Hooker. That's too loud.
Okay.
A golf clap. Just a
Hendon
little.
Hooker will have a great time on the practice squad.
You hear that?
He'll be the third guy on the practice squad. He'll be around.
He'll be on the team. Will Levis won't. Let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Let's start with our friend Trey. Trey, thank you for calling and waiting. Please go ahead.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, Trey.
Hey, I just want to say, hey, I agree with everything that y'all have been saying, because for me, I feel like I haven't seen any glimpse of hope. You know, maybe little sprinkles here and there, like, okay, he can throw the ball short, you know, but then, like Derek said, after he hits that 5 or 6 yard mark, it just goes to poo-pooey. It just goes crazy. And I don't understand why he doesn't have a balance in what he's doing. And I feel like personally, this is just my opinion, he's slow. Like, the game moves too slow for him. It's like the players or it's like speed versus him back there. Then once everybody get covered, it's like, oh, golly, let me throw the ball out there, and it bounces off the people's hands, the receiver's hands, you know, or either, you know, like he can't read defenses for some reason. I don't understand why he can't read defenses. But like Derek said, when he went out to the right side and had the ball out there, like, what are you doing? Like, didn't coach teach you not to do that? Didn't Coach Callahan teach him not to do that? The same things he was doing with Coach Callahan, he's doing today up under Coach Sala. There's no different. Yeah, there's a sprinkle of progression going north, but it's not enough for the fans to see. And I'm sure y'all see that he is doing a little bit better. And, you know, he's a big kid to be out there and not know what he's doing. He's probably one of the biggest kids out there, 200-something pounds, and he can't throw a pass, you know, and then he's going to throw a seam route into double coverage. The spy was out there watching him. He saw the ball coming before Cam, you know, when Cam threw the ball. Like, why are you going to throw in double coverage when the spy is out there knowing that something's bad going to happen, you know? And I really don't believe that we're capable with Cam Ward to move the ball down the field to get touchdowns. Joey Sly is great,
Thank
But
you,
as
Trey.
far
Not
as
to
the
cut you
mechanics-
off. We
Okay.
get the point. We get the point. You echo a lot of what a lot of Tennessee Titans fans are feeling right now. A lot of whom want to get in on this. 615-737-1025. Let's go to our friend Adam in Portland on our phone line. Adam, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Y'all are all insane.
We're insane?
It's preseason. So number one, I don't like you just turning Adam. We're undefeated. I don't like you saying Titans aren't going to win many games this year. You don't know that. You don't know anything. None of us know anything. So I want to stick by that. It's preseason. It's just, yeah. By the other team's B team is not good, but it's preseason. We're still undefeated. So, and I don't like you throwing shade at Hendon Hooker. He is a hometown legacy. And I think Hendon Hooker could start by week 5 if things go crazy. So
Okay, Adam. I got it. Okay,
Adam.
Adam.
I think Adam's trolling. Adam's trolling us.
Thank you for calling, Adam.
Thank you. We love you,
Hendon
Adam.
Hooker
Yeah.
starting by week 5.
Yeah, I think he's trolling.
Who wants
I
to
think
Who
he's
wants to
trolling.
place a bet on that one? Anybody here?
I think Adam's trolling.
No, I don't think he is.
I think he's
We
messing with
appreciate Adam's passion.
And listen, Adam, things can turn around, but I am not going to just sit here and dismiss what I'm seeing. I just can't. Because we saw some of these things last year and we said, well, it'll get better. And it didn't. It just didn't. So am I supposed to sit here or the fan base supposed to sit here and say, oh, well, it's preseason, we'll get better. And then it doesn't get better. Then what? To me, they are not playing the type of football yet that they promised their fans. They're just not.
No, you guys tell me if this is a reasonable way of thinking about this, because I like to think the 4 of us on this show are reasonable people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't get swept up in hot takes or anything like that. I understand Adam's point.
Mm-hmm.
It is the preseason. And you know me, if there's one thing I hate, it's small sample sizes. And I do not like to make big sweeping declarations based on small sample sizes. Cam Ward, I thought, looked better last night than he did last week. But you have to squint really, really, really hard, I think, to see those improvements. We have a full rookie season, 16 games, because we don't really count the last game because he got hurt, right? So we've got 16 games. We saw Cam Ward make incremental progress in the second half of the season. It wasn't a significant jump, but enough that I think we would feel like, okay, maybe he's sort of on the right track. There is hope for him yet. And so far through 2 preseason games, we were hoping to see him take forward progress, make forward progress on what we saw in the second half of last season. And I don't think we've seen that yet. So I appreciate Adam's passion. I really do. I do not mean that dismissively. But I think Titans fans have every right to feel apprehensive about Cam Ward through 2 preseason games, because I feel like he hasn't continued the incremental progress he made towards the end of last season.
I think he's going to get better. He's going to continue to get better. My biggest concern isn't that. My biggest concern is, as I said right before the last break, what is the big strength? How is he going to win? How is he going to separate himself and be a difference maker? I don't see the tool right now. It's not jumping out at me. We've covered it now. It's not going to be his legs. So he's got to be a great reader of defenses. He's got to have exceptional passing skills. And I don't know, and we have to see where that goes. I don't know if he's got either of those things either. There are certain passes that he throws that I still don't think are consistent enough. And I'm saying to myself, does he have the touch? Am I seeing this too many times? These throws that should be connections that are not.
To me, the one thing he does have improvisation. I think he does have that, like that instinct to get out and try to make something happen on the outside. But I don't want that as your superpower, like your lone superpower. I want that as need, use if needed. Like
Yeah.
break the
case of
glass and I
Break
use
glass
it.
in case of emergency.
Exactly. He needs to become a better quarterback in general,
Yes.
outside of the improvisation that he does so well.
615-737-1025. By the way, one texter says those betting odds for starting Hendon Hooker by week 5 would be plus 7 billion. I don't think those odds are long enough. 615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your reaction coming up next. But first, this Friday, come hang out with us at T-Line in West Nashville as we celebrate 1025 The Game's 15th birthday. And we have gifts, and they're for you. We will be giving away gifts every hour, starting at 6 a.m., including Predators tickets, Vanderbilt tickets, concert tickets, and more. Also, be sure to stop by T-Line and get signed up for a chance to win our grand prize, Nashville Predators season tickets. That's 42 home games. You get an extra home game this year because the NHL, in case you didn't know this, 84 games instead of 82 starting this season. So you get 42 home games. That's our grand prize. And I believe they're in section 102. So great seats. If you want those, come on by to T-Line. Celebrate 15 years on the air with us, T-Line in West Nashville. For more information, you can visit thegamenashville.com/birthday. tonight, Willie, or tomorrow?
Tonight.
Mahoney back up to school?
Yeah, we're going back up.
How long is that drive?
It's like 5.5 hours.
You staying with your family?
No, we'll go to like Cincinnati tonight, real fast, and we'll go straight there, and then I'll hang out during the day, and then I just have to figure out where I'm going to do the show.
People want to talk today. I like it. I like it.
I want them to talk.
So
Let's just keep throwing the question out. Tell me Cam's number one strength.
Probably one in the first 2 preseason games. Where are you as far as approaching the urgency of the situation and getting the offense on track for the season? Well, I mean, you had what, 1 touchdown drive and six opportunities. You could agree that this is what you normally want out there, right?
No, it's not. And it's something that we gotta be able to go get. As far as the touchdown ratio, that's our goal, to score the ball each and every time we step on the field. But it's a lot of things that go into it, and for us, we're more of continuously to have a next play mentality, and making good decisions. We've had a lot of good decisions from each and everybody, from the receiver when they're sitting down in certain spots in the zone, the O-line passing games also. Everyone playing smart football. But when it's time to do it for real, I think a lot of stuff will click. But we still have another week to get better on the little things that we need to get better on.
Yeah.
That was Cam Ward after last night's preseason game against the Seahawks. The man who asked that question to Cam Ward, Turron Davenport, will join us at the top of the hour.
You know what I was wondering, listening to him.
What's that?
And he said that once the season starts, we gonna be clicking.
Oh yeah? Are you sure?
And that's what I'm like. I'm like, what? And I love the confidence that this young man has. But what in the game has shown your fan base? I understand like some things you're seeing behind the scenes. You know exactly what you're not doing as far as game plan and everything else. So I understand like from behind the curtain, but the fan base is watching and they're like, we haven't seen much that is going to give us hope that is going to be any different when the season starts. I'm not saying what he's saying is a lie, but what you're doing and what is showing up are 2 different things right now. And that needs to change, and change quickly. Believe me, I know all the work y'all put in. I know it firsthand. And I know the little things that happen in practice or in meetings and corrections and all that other stuff. And you just feel like we're headed down the right track. We hit this play. We close here. We're close. So I get that part. But your fans don't get it. They're looking at it like this team hadn't got it. And they're worried. Like fans are really worried that they're going to go through another season, disappointed.
Let's go to Jared in Spring Hill on our phone line. Jared, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to speak on the gym class hero, Levis, because last night was his Super Bowl. He's reckless, and you know what a gym class hero is. And so I need, he cannot be the epitome of the intensity for how, again, this is, if I'm Saleh, the intensity for how you approach the game. And so I need Saleh to approach that preseason game because I have no trust in him with his prior record and what I've seen so far, that he can just turn it on and magically see results. I need him to approach that at least with the starting unit, that this is his Super Bowl. You need to lead these young kids who have not won anything. And even the players that you dragged over here to Tennessee, they haven't won anything either. And I think that you can go about it and it ramp up, not show your hand because he's afraid that he just wants to make everything so manila. You can do some things to generate results on the defensive side of the ball, because last night, I don't know if they stopped them at all. And there's times where I'm just wanting to see more. And I do not subscribe to the idea that they can just magically turn it on week one. I don't think he can magically just start figuring out how to game plan. At least with the first string, you can go out there and try to dominate and scheme and take advantage of an opponent that is lesser than. So is he leading the team the right way as a young group approaching preseason games with this manila, laissez-faire attitude? Because I want to see more. Tighten up.
Thank you, Jared. And does Jared
Thank you,
deserve a
Jared.
bell for laissez-faire?
I would say. A bell
Good for
the
you,
caller.
Jared.
Again, this is what your fan base is seeing. This is how your fan base feel. I can't tell them that they're wrong. Can't tell them that they're right. I could just tell them, hey, you can have those feelings. They're yours. It's up to the Titans to change those feelings for the team.
But would you scheme for a preseason game?
I see.
I would not.
When it comes to preseason, because head coaches and coordinators, they want to keep everything in the bag. They don't want to let out anything that they think that will cost them once the season starts. So when you talk about motioning and different formations and stuff, they're not going to give it as much as the fan would want a true game plan. They're not going to give it to you. But what I would say is this: there was a reason why, 30 moons ago, on that third preseason game, we played up until, we played the quarter or series after halftime. Because the logic was, we're not going to play the last game, and we just can't turn this stuff on. You just can't turn it on. It's not that way. Professional sports isn't that way. Even if you have a star-studded team, you're going to dig yourself in a hole, and the only way you may win is because you have that star-studded team. One thing I do know is that this team is not built that way. They have guys that has the potential and has shown some things that can end up being stars, but they don't have them right now. So with that being said, when we played that third game, we wanted to make sure that we were hitting. Like, let's go. This is a little bit more game planning, but let's go. Let's make sure we get some things done. Let's make sure we're fluid in what we're doing. Let's make sure we're on point here and there. And then after halftime, come out, boom, let's do it again. And after that, we're gonna sit down because we know we ain't playing the fourth game. That has been gone. They have totally took that out of the NFL and scrapped it. The 3 games that they play right now means nothing to the starters, nothing whatsoever. Because if you're a really good team, your starter's not playing. If you're a really bad team, you ain't going to play them that much still because you're afraid they're going to get hurt. And then when you're in a situation like the Tennessee Titans, it's like you have the potential, but it's not happening. And for your quarterback to make the assumption And again, I get it. He is behind the scenes, so he see things that I don't see. But for your quarterback to just assume that, oh, when the season starts, man, we Johnny on the spot, bruh. We're going to turn this thing on. We're going to get going. It doesn't happen that, even with the great teams, it doesn't happen that way.
615-737-1025 will continue to take your reaction to the Tennessee Titans' performance in the preseason game last night against the Seattle Seahawks. One more preseason game to go for the local professional football team against the Chicago Bears. The Bears will be in town to practice later this week. Titans and Bears, one more preseason game to go.
I'll speaking of that,
yes,
I'll go back and repeat a question I asked you guys on Friday. You guys tell me, because it happened. Exactly what I threw out there on Friday happened. They felt really good about how they practiced against the Seahawks on Thursday, right? Or was that no? That was Friday. Friday morning. Okay, so Friday afternoon we're having this discussion, and then last night you came out of there going, "Oh man, what was that? That didn't look good." So what's more important? If it were flipped and they had lit up the Seahawks backups, let's just say 31-10 last night. Hey, starters look good, whips the backups, but they had struggled in the 1s versus 1s, 2 versus 2s. How would we feel? We are what's fresh in our mind is last night. So we're like, oh man, they got problems. I did think they played very well considering on Friday. So what's more valuable? I'll throw that out there for thought.
All right. Answer Willie's question, if you will. 615-737-1025.
The fans didn't see that. Derek's talking about what is the fan base see? They didn't see Friday.
They did not. Those who were unable to attend the practice.
I did see Friday, but I'm still sitting here today going, oh, boy.
You know who I think would have a good answer to that question? Turron Davenport, ESPN, NFL Nation Titans reporter. He'll join us coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, Connor Newt here with you. Let's go to our phone line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcoming our friend, Turron Davenport, ESPN, NFL Nation, Titans reporter, who joins us every Monday at 4 and is presented by Bart Durham Injury Law. Hello, TD. How are you?
Good afternoon. How is everybody?
We are doing well, a lot better than a lot of Titans fans out there after the game last night, TD. So let me ask you this. As you were strolling to your car last night at Nissan Stadium after the game, what about the game was at the front of your mind after you witnessed the Titans' performance last night?
Yeah, what was that on my mind is how the reserve, the second unit for the Seahawks, scored touchdowns on 2 of their 3 drives against the first defense. That's the only thing I could think about. And I it's not good. You know what I mean? And the way those 2 plays happened, it was just bad. And to give up explosives like that on 2 of the 3 drives that you are on defense for is bad.
Turron, before you came on, we played a clip of your question to Cam Ward after the game about the urgency for the first team offense to score. And he wrapped up his answer by saying something along the lines of, when it's time to do it for real, I think a lot of stuff will click. I understand he's confident. I understand it's the preseason. I understand play calling is vanilla. But Derek and I, and Willie too, we heard that and we were wondering, are you sure it's going to click when it's time to do it for real? How confident are you based on what you've seen from the first team offense in the preseason?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have any confidence based upon what I've seen in the actual games. But in practice, I could see grounds for confidence. But, I thought it was just funny because, I asked him about not getting the results that he wanted. And I couldn't believe he had the audacity to question that. And I'm like, well, you scored 1 touchdown on 6 drives. You can't tell me that that's not the results that you wanted. You know what I mean? So I just thought it was interesting the way it was kind of tabled as far as like not having the success that would breed that confidence. But I mean, look, end of the day, you're supposed to believe that I'm sorry, I'm backing up. End of the day, you're supposed to believe that you could go out there and execute. But I mean, frankly, it wasn't there, and I wouldn't have confidence based off of the game situation.
We'll talk with Turron Davenport discussing the Tennessee Titans victory last night, but the actual performance of the first unit on both sides of the ball was still something to be desired. What disappointed me the most, and you brought it up when Adam asked you the question first, that defense. To me, that first drive sort of encapsulized, I think, what we've been seeing with this team in preseason. Because I was just disappointed on how the defense, considering what type of practice they had that Friday before and how amped they were and out to prove a point, but then come out and play in that fashion, that first drive and pretty much the whole game. I was just disappointed. What do you see from those guys? What did they talk about in the locker room?
You know what? I can't tell you that because by the time we got to the locker room, Timmy Horn was basically the only guy left, and it's something that I hope we could have function a little bit better as far as like getting the press conference a little bit earlier and getting in the locker room. Because right now it's almost like you gotta, pick which table you want to eat from. You know what I mean? Do you want to go in the locker room and get the guys, or do you want to go to the press conference? So I can't really tell you what the talk was like in the locker room because we didn't get in there in time to really talk to many other people. Fortunately, to their credit, the PR staff, Dwight Spradlin, he brought Anthony Hill Jr. back in and we got to speak to him. But that was about it. If you went to press conference, you didn't get locker room.
Now, when you're looking at that defense, because I think, and I told the guys, I said, Cedric Gray, this dude, he may just be the second best player on the team besides Jeffrey Simmons. And I know Peter Skoronski's up there too. But the way this guy attacks from sideline to sideline and the speed and aggressiveness and precision he plays with, I mean, why can't they get everyone to play that way consistently on that side of the ball? What do you think about what Cedric Gray is doing?
Man, I love what he's doing. And I think when you look at Cedric Gray, he's a guy that you look at and you say, you know what, I don't know that he fits what Robert Saleh wants to do because how much stress Saleh puts on the linebackers to cover. But one of the better plays yesterday was Cedric Gray running vertically, well, I believe it was the tight end with Arroyo, and getting a hand in there and knocking it down. Now, questionable play call, about the thumbs down. I didn't realize that was a personal foul, maybe because he did it in Arroyo's face. I don't know. But I think when you look at Cedric Gray, there's energy that he brings. There were a few times where he flashed in there and he rocked the running backs. I think when you have a guy like that, he's a tone setter. I really look forward to seeing him continue to play. And actually, he's made me believe that he can fit in this defense. And he knows that the coverage is an area for improvement. And that's something that we talked about, from the beginning of training camp. He told me that's an area where he was looking to really get better, understanding that that's something that's, really stressed in Saleh's defense. So I think you got a young guy, the physicality. Robert Saleh said it himself, like, we got to have him on. He said we got to have him on the field because of his physicality, because of the way he sets the tone. So at the very least, I would have him in there on first and second down. I'm sure you know this, DMase. They started in the base 4-3, and they had James Williams out there too. And let me tell you something. James Williams is having just as good a camp as any other defender out there. So, you got Coda Barton as well as Gray out there, and then you mix in Anthony Hill at times and Diabate. I think this linebacker core is pretty solid, and all three of those guys could play, with the reserves as well.
Now, I'm finally convinced. Willie has convinced me, but more so Cam, because Willie's been saying this the whole time. He doesn't think this young man can run effectively or run at all. And I kept saying, listen, I've seen him in Miami run. I've seen him. He can do it. But I'm at a point now where until he shows me otherwise, I am going to say that portion of Dabo's offense will not be able to be used. And in saying that, are they going, if he can't use that, because if you look at all of his quarterbacks, whether it's Josh Allen or more recently, Dart, those guys had the ability to run, which opened up his playbook a lot more.
Yeah.
The lack of running from Cam, do you think that's going to hamper what they can truly do on offense from a play calling standpoint?
That's a good question. I don't think it's going to, but one thing I do want to be cautious of with the emphasis on, hey, man, show you can run, is getting Cam to force it and taking away from his game. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where you want your guys to play his game, but at the same time, you want to be able to have that running aspect. To me, I think it's definitely going to limit what they could do. There's not as much of a threat. So, when you have those read option and RPOs, like, you're not going to really impact the guys on the edge as much because he's not as much of a threat to pull it and run. So that's going to make the game a little bit harder to play as far as for everyone else. So I'm with you there. I just think you got to be careful not to force him into something that he may not really be.
Turron Davenport is with us, ESPN.com. He's got all the Titans coverage there. Talking with TD is the podcast here on 102.5 The Game. TD, I think we would all agree that Friday was encouraging. Their scrimmage, their organized practice against the Seahawks. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, and then today we don't have a good taste in our mouths based on last night. They didn't look very good, and they were playing against the backups. It should have looked better. But I'll ask you, between the two, would you be more encouraged the way it is here in reality, or if they were flipped, if they didn't look good on Friday, but they whipped up on the Seahawks backups last night? Which would you feel better about?
I think I would feel better about Friday because you had, iron against iron, right? You had ones versus ones, and that's where you got a good a good gauge. Now, obviously, it's not as much of a game-like situation, but I would much rather, if I had a dog in the fight, I would much rather have my defense and offense first team do well against Seattle's first team. So I would go with Friday.
All right. Next question that we've talked to prior to you coming on that we want your insight on. What would you say Cam Ward's biggest strength is as a quarterback? What's his number one tool that jumps out at you?
I would say his ability to extend the play and go off script.
Okay. And because I don't think we've seen that turn into a lot to this point in his career, right? Just here and there, but the results haven't been great based on that number one, if that's his number one tool.
Yeah, I could agree to that. There haven't been. He has maybe 2 or 3 signature plays. You saw a glimpse of it last night, but unfortunately, Gunnar Helm couldn't get his feet in bounds.
Right. Okay, and then here's the last one that caught my attention. I'll on the 2 defensive breakdowns with the explosive plays, and I'm really thinking about the pass play because Saleh, I buy what he said to a degree, even though it hits the number 2s. But that was a well-schemed play, good blocks. You're gonna give up a big run every now and then. But the pass play was a pretty elementary breakdown, it seems like. But Robert Saleh said guys are adjusting from going to, I want to make sure I got the term right, a read-based defense to a, what was the word he used?
A match man defense.
Yes. So tell me what does he mean by that?
Yeah. So in other words, in that situation,
A vision-based, I think was what he said, right?
A vision-based match man defense.
Yeah.
So in that situation where you had that route combo, one of those guys was supposed to attach to the vertical, and one was supposed to attach to the outbreaking route. But unfortunately, what you had now. Regular basic rules. Hey, safety has over top. He runs with the tight end going vertical. The corner, he has that outbreaking route. Now it was pretty tricky. Not tricky, but it was it was designed the way they did it. They brought the running back in motion. To kind of make the safety. Hey man, I think I might have to have him because he's in motion. That's my man, and that's basically what happened. Now I don't know who was supposed to have that vertical route in the way Robert Saleh scheme has the guys attached to the vertical. I don't know who. Basic outside looking in, you'll say, hey, that's all on Kevin Winston. He should have taken the vertical. So in essence, the vision match man is okay. You are looking kind of you're presenting a zone look, but when a guy comes into your zone, you latch onto him. You attach to him, and that's who you take. Nobody took Arroyo, and that's why he was wide open. And then you did have Amani Hooker kind of rotating into the center over top, and it just happened so fast he couldn't get there either because he also had a route that was kind of breaking in, almost like a post route that was breaking into him as well, so he was kind of caught in a bind. Very well-designed play.
How are you feeling in general about Kevin Winston at this point as he tries to earn a spot here? They certainly look like they're giving him every opportunity to be the safety.
Yeah, no, Kevin Winston, he's the starting safety. There's no doubt about that. But I think he showed the range. That's the one thing. Here you go. He was out there in center field like Mookie Wilson, man. No, he got really good range. That's what I like about him. You saw it when he came off his post and had that interception that was negated by the bad play, the bad call on Cordell Flott. So. Yeah, but I mean, we've seen the range. That's how Winston had. Because to be honest with you, right, the collision he had with Ayamaner earlier in camp, maybe a week and a half ago, he had no business being there. Like the range that he showed to get over to that ball was really good, right? And then you look at the range he showed, on that post to Flott, to Tate. That's the thing I like about him. He has range. He's a hitter. I think he's going to be fine. He just has to continue to get comfortable with that zone coverage. And, that's having a really, really good safety coach like Marquand Manuel. That's going to help him a lot. Actually, I want to speak to Manuel tomorrow. I'm gonna put in a request because I want to know some more about that route combo where they failed on. So you just inspired me to put in a request for him.
Turron Davenport, ESPN, NFL Nation, Titans reporter, has been our guest on DMase, Vingan and Donick. He joins us every Monday at 4 and is presented by Bart Durham Injury Law. TD, as always, a pleasure. We'll catch up next week.
Go Mets.
All right. Hey, listen, you got it in before me. You got it in, so I'm gonna say it too. Let's go Mets.
Always.
Thank you, TD.
All
right, TD.
Let's get a standings update on the New York Mets, shall we? Man, I have to scroll down really far.
They have
Gave up 2 walk-off home runs over the weekend.
The Mets are 12 games back of the final wild card spot in the National League. This has been your Mets update, brought to you by Willy Donick and Turron Davenport.
I'm disappointed he didn't reciprocate that with a go green for you.
Go white. You know how it is.
I'll
What
do it for
you're
you.
telling us, have they moved up a spot? I guess not.
No, they're pretty down there.
They're tough.
He said they're pretty down there.
Nope, they're pretty down there. 615-737-1025. All right, coming up next, over the next 2 weeks, 1 per day, over the next 10 programs, we are going to be unveiling our 10 Titans questions. Questions we feel will demonstrate whether this team is going to be any good or not. Things that must happen, things we are wondering about if this team is going to be successful at all this season. Now, this is Willy Donick's baby, but Willy Donick was kind enough to let me have question number 1. So we are going to unveil question number 1 of our 10 Titans questions coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Have y'all figured out the theme?
The theme is questions
about love.
About love.
No.
Just questions?
Just questions.
Didn't we do this last week?
Questions last week.
I totally forgot. Because you know why? Because when I watched that game, that was the first thing that came to my head.
What's love got to do with it?
Yeah, no.
We got more questions than answers.
More questions than answers, yes.
Let me tell you, I'm so excited for my theme tomorrow. Connor already has the songs. I sent them in already. Very excited. Cool. Very excited for tomorrow's theme.
Well, it better deliver then.
No, I think it will. I think it will.
It can't just deliver for you. It's got to deliver for the masses.
I think it will deliver for everybody. I think everybody will have a great time with it.
All right. He's hyping it up.
Yes.
Let's see if he lives up to the hype.
In the meantime,
I like the questions, by the way.
I do like questions. So speaking of questions, we've got 10 pressing Titans questions. As the season approaches, we're going to do one a day over the next 2 weeks. 5 plus 5 is 10.
Mm-hmm.
Willy created this, or at least to me, he created it. And he was kind enough to let me have the first question. So here is pressing Titans question number 1 out of 10. How much will Cam Ward improve at escaping sacks this season? We talked about this last week, how sacks are a quarterback stat. There's a lot of research to suggest that sacks are indeed a quarterback stat. Yes, the offensive line plays a role in it, but the specific quarterback has a major influence on the number of sacks he takes. Last season, Cam Ward took 55 sacks, tied for the most in the NFL with his week 1 counterpart, Geno Smith, then of the Raiders, now of the Jets. According to Pro Football Focus, Cam Ward had a pressure to sack ratio last season of 23.9%. So the number of pressures Cam Ward faced that ultimately turned into sacks, 23.9%, which ranked 28th out of 30 quarterbacks who played a minimum of 10 games, ahead of only Tyler Shuck of the Saints and the aforementioned Geno Smith. So here's my question. How much will Cam Ward improve at escaping sacks using pressure to sack ratio? You've got 4 choices. A, he will finish in the top 10. We're assuming 30 quarterbacks here, or around 30 quarterbacks. A, he'll finish in the top 10 in that category. B, he'll finish somewhere between 11th and 20th in that category. C, he'll finish between 21st and 25th in that category. Or D, he'll finish in the bottom 5 again in that category. Now, for context, here are the averages of each of those groups from last season. The top 10 quarterbacks in that category averaged a pressure to sack ratio of 12.3%. Between 11 and 20, the average, 17.6%. Between 21 and 25, 21.8%. Bottom 5, 24.3%. Cam Ward again, 23.9%. One of the worst rates in the NFL. So how much will Cam Ward improve at escaping sacks? A, B, C, or D? Willy Donick.
I think that there will be more plays this year that are designed to get the ball out quick. And you've seen them run a lot of screens in the practices. They've shown that in the games. They've got Wan'Dale Robinson for a lot of short passes that will be pre-scripted, high percentage passes. I think you're going to see more of that this year. That should cut down on the sacks. I'm very concerned about the depth of the offensive line if they lose a player or two. I think with the first 5, I think the pass protection will be better. I think the receivers will be better. If he doesn't improve in this stat, then we got real problems, like serious problems. He needs to improve on this because the environment should be better. But that being said, I still have my concerns because I don't think he has good escapability. And as I've been saying, I don't think he's going to run the ball effectively. When I was curious about Turron's answer about extending plays, because I asked Turron, what is Cam Ward's number 1 strength? That's what Turron cited as the number one strength. But we did the numbers last year. On plays that were, quote, extended, his numbers were not good. Not at all. Now, we can all recall a couple of spectacular throws that he did make on extended plays. The one that everybody can conjure up in their mind quickly is the throw against the Rams, his first ever touchdown pass. Phenomenal play. But play in and play out, week in and week out, it hasn't resulted in a lot of positive stuff. And he's gotten sacked a ton. So all that being said, he should improve. But I don't think it's going to be in a big way. So I'm going to take, I think, what is the obvious answer here, and that's C.
C. He's going to finish between 21st and 25th
Modest
out of
improvement.
30 in that category.
I think it's going to be a problem, but it should be better than it was last year.
Derek?
Oh, man. The offensive line does look like it's going to be, a pleasant surprise because it seems like everyone is sort of, they're forming, even though I think Moore needs to get better. And who's the center? Forgetting
Austin
Sloatman. He needs to play better as well. But I think as a whole, that unit has done a good job at protecting Cam Ward and giving the running back some room to run, but more importantly, protecting Cam Ward. So I hope that he does get better at improving on how to escape sacks. It does seem like he gets out of the pocket well, but he holds on to the ball a little bit too long, which isn't the offensive line fault. But I think if you just, take a 5-step drop, I think you're going to be good. So you're not going to be in those situations too many times. But he likes to get off script. And he just hasn't proven to me consistently that he can get things done running to escape those sacks so he can then get positive yards or throw it away. He hasn't shown it consistently, but I think he has gotten a little bit better. So I'm going C. I hope, that it ends up being B, but I will go with C right now.
Okay, so here's the question again, 615-737-1025. How much will Cam Ward improve at escaping sacks based on his pressure to sack ratio? So the number of pressures he faces, how many of those pressures turn into sacks? Last season, it happened 23.9% of the time for Cam Ward, which ranked 28th out of 30 qualifying quarterbacks who played a minimum of 10 games, 28th out of 30. Both Willy and Derek say he will finish somewhere between 21st and 25th in that category this season.
And let's just for people out there driving in the car that don't like math.
Yes.
He was sacked 55 times last year.
Tied for the most in the league.
So he's trying to go from all the way at the bottom to move up. So
yes,
55. I think that number might resonate with people easier than the percentage.
That is true.
Yeah.
I will continue the thread that we're on here. I also believe the answer will be C. I can imagine Ward being slightly better in this category because of a lot of the reasons that Willy detailed, specifically the pass catchers around him. He has a more experienced group of pass catchers. I'm hoping that will help, but I still expect Cam Ward to be near the bottom of the league in this category. I think he's going to continue to struggle to avoid pressures and avoid those pressures turning into sacks. So I will also say C, but I'm expecting a very small improvement in that category. And by the way, Willy, tell me if these are the numbers you were referencing via Ben Solak of ESPN.com. Cam Ward had 88 dropbacks with a time to throw over 4 seconds last season, second only to Caleb Williams. Dropbacks this long are almost universally scramble drill throws, and they did not serve the Titans well at all. Nobody actually opened up downfield, and Ward had only 5 completions of over 20 yards on all those snaps. He lost a whopping 107.3 expected points on those 88 dropbacks, second only to 2023 Bryce Young this decade for the most lost value on extended dropbacks in a single season.
So this goes back to my question that I'm throwing out there that I am asking myself a lot, because I've worried about it from the day that they drafted him, really, in fairness to me, because I was going by the consensus of all the people that wear out our timelines from December through April 24th, or whenever the draft day is.
Yep.
Dean Brugler and Dane Brugler and all these people that cover the draft backwards and forwards. Nobody had Cam Ward as the best player in that draft. Yet they drafted him, and he's the first pick. So here we are a year plus later, going into year 2, and I'm asking, what is his biggest strength as a quarterback? Turron's answer, and I trust Turron, his ability to extend plays. But so far, those numbers would tell you that they haven't gotten results out of that yet. Not yet. If that's the best thing he does, it hasn't shown up on Sundays yet. And we've got a lot of other questions. I think if I'm answering that question, I think his work ethic is his best strength. Now, that can only take you so far. That is a legit thing. I think he wants desperately. He loves football. He's going to study. He's going to show up. He's going to work hard. But how far is that going to get him? Because the physical, freakish tools aren't there for a guy that was drafted first. And one of them is the question, one of the things where it shows up is what you're talking about, his inability to avoid the rush. It hasn't happened yet, but let's see if he can make progress in that area this year.
Connor, what's your answer to this question?
Well, I'm going to kind of piggyback off what Turron said, and I think Cam Ward's strength as a quarterback, if he can get consistent at it, and some of that relies on what the receivers do. I think you saw 3 instances last night where that was the case. Cam Ward makes the right read and extends the play, and the receiver just doesn't come down with the ball or is held and it's not called. So I think Cam Ward's improvisation and his ability to extend the plays, if he can get consistent at it and sure it up, will allow him to complete more passes. Something I've noticed with him in practice is he's a lot quicker to get the ball out and take the safe play rather than looking for the home run ball, at least in practice. We haven't seen that as much in games yet, but I'm going to lean on the back end side of B, being 11 to 20. I'm going to go on that back side, that 18, 19, 20 range.
Okay.
But I think if he can shore up his ability to extend the play, if the receivers do their job, if the offensive line continues to be the healthy surprise that it's been so far through the preseason, then I think it's a possibility. It's probably best case scenario to say that, but I do think we're going to see some improvement in that area this year.
Okay. Willie, Derek, and I said C. Connor said B. 615-737-1025. Our first of 10 Titans questions, 1 per day over the next 2 weeks. How much will Cam Ward improve at escaping sacks? Last season, 55 sacks, tied for most rate of pressures turning into sacks. Only 2 quarterbacks were worse, Tyler Shuck and Geno Smith. So where will he finish in that category this season? A, in the top 10, B, somewhere between 11 and 20, C, somewhere between 21 and 25, or D, in the bottom 5, as he did this past season. 615-737-1025. But coming up next, you may think that the Tennessee Titans hate you because of how much they've put you through over the past few years. But trust me, the Tennessee Titans do not hate you the way the Cleveland Browns hate their fans. We will explain coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen, 1025 The Game.
Man, I didn't have no reaction. I think the biggest thing is, I think you guys know too, and I think the whole world knows. It has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit personal than that. So I think it's a disrespectful thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep whatever I feel with me and my family internally on how I feel about that. And yeah, just move on.
But don't you think, Deshaun, that winning and playing better would eliminate some of that booing?
Last time I played on this field, I tore my Achilles. And that same fan base, they cheered when I got hurt. So does that have to do with, what does that have to do with anything about performance? When a person get hurt, especially for your own city, and they cheer.
That was Deshaun Watson on Saturday. And maybe a normal franchise would say, you know what? I'm not sure we want that guy as our starting quarterback after making those comments. Well, guess what the Browns did today? The Browns named Deshaun Watson their starter for the season. And I'm trying to rack my brain here, guys, on whether there is another team in any sport that actively hates its own fans like the Cleveland Browns. Why would you put Deshaun Watson out there? Now, Willie, you were saying during the break, clearly the Browns must not like Shedeur Sanders, and that could be true. But when you consider how much the Cleveland Browns gave up for Deshaun Watson, how much they paid Deshaun Watson, how often he's been hurt, and how horrible he's been when he's played, I think you kind of bite the bullet and don't start Deshaun Watson. Here's a fun trivia question for all of you out there, which will put this into context. Of the 50 quarterbacks with at least 15 starts since Deshaun Watson joined the Browns in 2022, there is only one quarterback who has a lower QBR. Who is it?
I'm looking at the chart right now. It's very discouraging because the quarterbacks in that neighborhood, there are two straddling him on either side that play for the Titans.
Give us the bottom five, Willy Donick.
This is going to depress some people.
Okay.
The worst, Will Levis.
That's the answer to the trivia question.
Yeah.
The worst.
It's Will Levis.
Second worst, Deshaun Watson. Third worst, Cam Ward.
Oh.
Fourth worst, Zach Wilson.
Oh
my. And then the fifth worst is Davis Mills. So that's the neighborhood we're living in right here.
And he's starting a quarterback for your Cleveland Browns.
I was reading some stuff on this. I enjoy reading the Cleveland perspective because that fan base loves that team. I mean, it might be the best fan base in the world based on the results that they have had to live with and the loyalty that they show and their love of the game. They don't need much to get behind. You know, just give them something and they're going to be there for you. They're as loyal as it gets. It takes a lot for you to lose that fan base. And what the big thing that I read that I think makes a lot of sense is why, after Deshaun Watson got hurt the last time, hurt the Achilles, the injury he's referencing, why didn't they just move on from him at that point? Why in the world would you still keep him there as poorly as it's gone? It could not have gone worse.
After the owner admitted he shouldn't have made the deal. He shouldn't have traded for Deshaun Watson. He shouldn't have signed the contract. The owner himself.
You're still living in the world of that trade and the after effects of it. They could have cut bait, moved on.
They couldn't have, Willie.
It's like Tua.
It's like Tua with the old money.
Right, but they
had to pay him.
They would have had to eat a lot of money.
A lot of money. I'd rather have him on my roster.
But that's and that's what the Dolphins didn't do with Tua. They're eating a ton of money, but they wanted to move on. And Tua had some big moments. For the Dolphins. That is less understandable than this, where he hasn't given them anything. And they have the other young quarterbacks that they could just at least roll out there and see what you got. And all of this is setting up for them to be in a position to draft one of the quarterbacks in next year's class that they should be situated pretty well to grab. But in the meantime, why would you stay with Deshaun Watson?
This may answer your question, according to Spot Track. Cutting Deshaun Watson right now cripples the Browns with an $86,206,864 dead cap hit for 2027. $86.2 million.
What was it with Tua? Similar.
$55.4 million is the largest cap hit in NFL history by Tua in 2026.
Okay. Tua's was because of concussion. They just didn't. Right. They didn't want to, have him on their team. As sad as it sounds, because he had already had too many concussions, and he started not to play well. So they wanted to, and they had a new coach. They wanted to sort of get out of that contract, but somebody was willing to trade for him. Nobody's going to be willing to trade for Deshaun Watson. Listen.
So you would rather not take the hit and have him come into that stadium and that team and that locker room every day?
It should be noted that the Browns open the season on the road with two road games.
Here's why.
No home game until week 3.
That may be good for them, because if they win their first 2 games, maybe sort of the tide changes.
Shador Sanders starting in week 3.
If they win the first 2, he's not.
If they go 0-2,
he may start then. But and I'm only talking about from a play standpoint. To Deshaun Watson's defense, he did play well when he was playing. He wasn't horrible. He was playing.
He has the second lowest QBR since 2022.
I am
15 starts.
He had 13 starts. I don't know what he's in 23 and 24. Did he play much in 25? Did he get hurt early?
When he has played, that's 50.
Yes,
however many starts,
13 games.
His QBR is 33.1. He's the second.
Only Will Levis is worse.
He's completed 62.5% of his passes. He's thrown over 2,200 yards. He has 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, passer rating of 80.7.
That's
bad. He's taken 50 sacks.
That's bad.
What I'm saying
he started 19 games over 3 seasons with the Browns and did not play last season.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the last 23 and 24. Those 2 seasons.
Yes.
But you're right. Yeah. The Browns haven't been a good team in totality. They've had a really good defense, but they haven't had a good team in totality. They just haven't. But he hasn't been horrible. He hasn't been great either. When you're paying him that type of money,
pretty bad.
He's been about what the Browns have been. Bad.
They made the playoffs. The Browns made the playoffs more recently than the Titans.
They went
2 years ago.
They got on the road with Joe Flacco. Yes, they got on the road. And then what happened? Subsequently, they came back down to earth. It's sort of like you get the coach bump in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
You get the quarterback bump in football. And then what happened? They came back down to earth very quickly. Listen, the guy hasn't played nowhere near to the standard of what his contract is.
The understatement of the century.
They can't trade him. They can't trade him. They can't cut him because they don't want to take that big hit.
Send him home and pay him.
Then you're going to end up causing more trouble sending him home and questions and all that other stuff, because now people are going to be wondering, why are you sending him home?
Because he stinks.
An organization is not going to say he stinks. They're not going to do that.
They've already admitted they shouldn't have done it.
But then he's still playing. So what are they telling you? We're going to play because he's the best guy we have, which for Shador is kind of bad. Because if they think
that's the one I can't figure out.
Deshaun is better, then, man, it's like, okay. But here's the thing. His play, he's right from this standpoint. It is personal. And I'm sensitive to this. Why? Because Steve McNair laid on the ground and people cheered when he got hurt. I'll never forget that. And I know no one on that team will ever forget that.
I remember
That's why, you can boo the guy or whatnot, but when he's injured, all that stuff, throw it out the window. Clap your hands. If he's all right, you clap your hands for him, he's all right. But you don't do what the Browns fan base did. I get everything that surrounds it. But to me, that part is sensitive to me because the quarterback that led us to a Super Bowl was being booed or cheered that he got hurt and Neil was coming. It's like, who does
But
that?
that was before you went to the Super Bowl.
But
That
it
was-
doesn't matter.
but
It's
still.
still, but that tells you how quickly a fan base can turn on you. That's my whole thing. That part, I am totally 100% in agreement with him.
But
he should take that personal.
But it doesn't,
because you're taking it personal.
But also,
but he hasn't
Sean-
played well either.
But what we're not talking about is this is what's way different than Steve McNair, because I agree with you. I was at the stadium. It was the first game in, back then it was called the Coliseum, and I felt icky. I felt terrible. I was like, how could you do that to this guy? When Steve McNair got knocked out of a game, Neil O'Donnell came in. Steve McNair came back into the game. But yeah, I'll never forget that. But part of the reason that the Browns are booing Deshaun is not just the contract.
I
It's
understand.
because he's a creep, and he
I
hasn't
understand
and
all
he
of that.
hasn't admitted guilt and taken responsibility whatsoever for what he did off the field.
Listen, I understand that, but you know how many guys in the league have.
But it's how
again,
you handle it too. If you
absolutely.
screw up, you say I screwed up.
Absolutely, and
he hasn't done that.
And he's never. Do you okay?
That
do you think
that
he
opens you up to booing?
Okay. Do you think he can? Whether he did it or that's not
He
even.
did do it.
That's not even my gripe. Like I'm not. Listen, he did what allegedly did what he did. He paid for it. He should have. But what I'm saying is this: regardless of all of that, there are other people that you just don't. My thing is, don't boo the guy. He's your quarterback now, regardless of what else has happened. You know, you don't. I mean, he's your guy. He's there because you're cheering for a lot of other guys.
Would you
that
want him to be your guy? Like
I
if
wouldn't
he-
have had
if
him.
he came
I
to the
wouldn't have
Titans-
signed him, Willie.
I know.
I wouldn't have signed him. So
isn't that the dilemma for a fan? Like,
I guarantee you, if he
how
was,
can I root for this guy?
okay, easy. He started winning games. I
Yeah,
guarantee
he
you that
hasn't
whole,
won any games.
But
If
my
he
thing is,
did,
he
then I
started
can
winning
say it.
games. No, which makes them all hypocrites. Because if he wins games, they don't care about what happened. They don't give a damn. He's our quarterback and he's winning.
Right.
But now, because the Browns haven't been winning, now it's we're gonna boo him. We're gonna cheer him when he gets hurt because we're glad he's out of there. It's just like one of those things. He needs to play better, like Cam does. He needs to play better. If you are booing him because he's not playing well, then great, boo him because he really hadn't. I mean, since he's been there, your team hasn't improved, but at one point. But if it's something more personal than that, it's just like okay, but when the man's down, hurt, are you gonna,
Well,
that's just
let me give you quickly. Let me give you an example from something major that happened in the NFL, but it hit close to home because this quarterback and I share a hometown, a home region, Michael Vick. What Michael Vick did with the dogfighting ring, despicable. Michael Vick went to prison. Michael Vick paid his debt to society. Michael Vick went out of his way, at least if I recall correctly, to be incredibly remorseful and make amends for what he did. He seems like he's a better changed man today. I don't get any sense of that with Deshaun Watson.
How is it that you don't believe this is the part where now, how do you think he hasn't changed? What makes you think he hasn't changed?
I don't think I've seen him show a single ounce of remorse for
We
what
haven't seen him. That's the thing. We haven't seen
It's
him.
been out there for like 5
But
years.
what I'm saying, okay, Willie and Adam, this is different from, in a sense, from Michael Vick. I don't think Michael Vick ever said, I did it. It was done at his home, a place that he owned, not necessarily was there. It was his property. So he was guilty, spent his time. He's came back and now he's an advocate for certain things and he sort of moved on and things have gotten better. Do you think he can sit here and say, I wish he could. I wish he could just say, you know what? I did this, I did this, I did this, I did that. Okay, fine. He can't say any of that. And if you were his lawyer, you would tell him, don't say anything. If you were his lawyer, Adam, you would tell him, don't say anything, right or wrong, because I would tell him the same thing. Because now what you're doing is incriminating yourself even further. You've paid your debt. You're continuing to pay it. So
there's a tone, though. There's a tact. There's a presence that you can show without violating the
I
legal
understand. But
thing.
what hasn't he like? What has
He's
he
been
done?
defiant about it.
How? What else is he supposed to say? I listen. I am not. I'm just challenging you. Like, what else is he supposed to say? Because maybe you're right, but I'm trying to figure out like
It
what
really
else
should
am I
have
supposed to
happened
say?
the day he came to the Browns is when he
Yeah.
should have really done it and had a fresh start.
Mhm.
Because I agree with you to a degree. They're hypocritical. If he come back and light it up and they
It'd be-
started winning, they'd
Yeah,
probably be
forget-
forgiving.
Yeah.
A lot. But it doesn't help. It when you're not doing well, and he hasn't lived, it's being paid a ton. He hasn't played well. They're not winning. All of that leads a passionate, emotional fan base that hasn't had much to chew on in a positive way. It has them reverting back to his character.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I'm not. I want to say this before you take us to break.
Go.
I am not saying this man is a saint. What he did or allegedly did and had to pay for was awful. Awful. And I mean completely awful. Whatever he had to do to make things right, I guess he did it. Now it seems like he's trying to move on, but even when you try to move on, that stuff still lingers with you. All I'm saying is that there's not much he can say about it. Honestly, he really can't say anything other than it's over with, and can't even really say I'm remorseful because that to his legal team or whoever's that you're admitting guilt, so you can't do that. Yeah, you're guilty, but you can't admit it. So that's all I'm saying.
My mic's not. There we go. There we go. 615-737-1025. My mic was stuck there for a moment. All right. We will get back into the Tennessee Titans. We've made it 2 hours. We haven't talked about the starting defense that much. Yikes. Last night. We'll also hear what Robert Saleh had to say about the defense's performance last night. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you, the Tennessee Titans. Hey, they won. Look, I'm telling you guys, there aren't going to be a lot of wins probably around here this season. So you take a win when you can get it, but we know the win is ultimately meaningless, but take the win. My son was excited when he woke up this morning and found out that the Titans won, but he doesn't know the difference between preseason and regular season. Hell, he doesn't even know all of the rules of football. But he was excited that the Titans won. So if my soon-to-be 5-year-old son, who turns 5 on Wednesday, can be excited about the Titans winning a preseason game, so can you. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunted.com, and welcome in Andrew. Andrew, thank you for calling and waiting. Please go ahead.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey, quick. It's kind of a question/statement. So after seeing the game last night, it's apparent that the Titans have maybe more issues than we even expected beforehand. And so I've kind of hit a limit where my cutoff for not watching any more Titans games is probably after week 3. Obviously 2-1 or 3-0 is ideal, but highly unlikely. If we were 1-2, that would be the most likely. And I think that would be fine. And I would keep watching. But if we go 0-3 to start after week 3, that means we would have lost 2 home games, including bottom. So to me, that means, you know what? I don't even want to waste another second on Titans football after week 3, even if that sounds a little hyperbolic. Am I crazy for being strict on that? And what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, Andrew, thank you for the call. First of all, whether the Titans are 1-2, 2-1, 3-0, or 0-3, we're going to have to talk about the Tennessee Titans. One texter said, I would quit my job if I had to talk about the Tennessee Titans every day. Not saying you should, but I would. And I don't want to quit my job. I sort of need this job. So no matter what the Titans are, we're going to be talking about them. But week 3 is Andrew's cutoff. I've seen week 1 early.
Oh, wow.
I've heard week 1 today on the station. If they lose to the Jets, it's over. I'm done. But, you know.
I mean, if you get to week 3, well, after week 3, if they're 0-3, there's going to be a bunch of just things being said about this team, about the head coach, about the franchise. It's imperative that they get out on a good start, at least win 1 of the 3 games, if not all 3 of them. Because if they come out of this 0-3, and I guess a part of it does look like, a part of it is how do they look in that 0-3 or 1-2 start, or 2-1 or 3-0? How does this team look in those contests? Because if they look good and some things happen here and there, then I think you can feel positive. But if they continue to look the way they have in the last 2 preseasons we've seen them, hopefully it ain't 3, then I think fans are going to worry, and they have every right.
Also, I have a ray of hope, and that is the practice against the Seahawks was way, way better than the game last night. But I realize that the fans, all they can go by is what they're seeing. And I completely get that when you walk out of there last night, you're like, what the heck was that? Come on, it's got to be better than that. When your starters are playing against the backups, it just simply has to look better. Even it doesn't matter what the score is, it's got to look better. So it's hard to sort of sell that today. That, hey, wait, when you guys didn't see it against Friday, they were pretty good. They were good Friday. So, look, the panic button, you can't push the panic button. But I have to admit, I'm very concerned, and it starts with the quarterback. I want to see. It's not any one thing. It's the realization that I'm coming to that. What's the ceiling? He's going to keep getting better. But what are his big strengths? And are some of the things that he still struggles with, are they magically all going? They don't all have to get better, but are enough of them going to get fixed to where it's like, okay, he's a completely different quarterback than his numbers showed last year. And his numbers are with Deshaun Watson, Will Levis, and Zach Wilson when it comes to QBR, which I think is a pretty decent, basic rating. One number says it all. Stat. That's the number. And he is in that neighborhood right now. He's got to show that he's way better than last year, because he could be way better and still be in the bottom half of quarterbacks, right? But I want to see him get to league average first. And I'm wondering what that's going to look like. Does he have a chance to get anywhere near league average this year?
I do want to give a shout out to one Titans player on the defensive side of the ball who had a great game. According to Pro Football Focus, the highest graded rookie from preseason week 2, Anthony Hill Jr. I was impressed by young Anthony Hill Jr. last night. So that's encouraging. There's something.
Flying around. I mean, listen, this team, as sort of out of sync as this team looks right now, I'm not going to say bad. I'm just going to say out of sync this team looks right now. They do have some bright spots. And I'm going to keep, hammering down on those bright spots, whether it's Peter Skoronski, J.C. Latham, whether it's Cedric Gray, or, some other guys that have been playing with Chestnut. He's been playing well. How about my guy Restrepo? Like, come on, man. Nobody's like all the dude does is catch the football. That's all he does. But yet and still, he can't find his footing
because he can't run.
I get that. Yeah, you're right. I can't. That's not that. I can't make him faster.
No, we've talked about this.
Yeah, but guys like Restrepo, I know it's going to be hard for him to make the team. I get it. But there are some guys that are doing well, or either doing more than well. But just as a team, there are not enough of those guys.
All right, let's get to Hill for a second, because that spot is, I think, going to be his for the taking if he can earn the trust of being where he's supposed to be. I think it was Connor that asked the question last night in the scrum about because he flashed a couple of big plays.
He flashed you?
He flashed me.
He flashed
everybody. I mean, we saw the pick. He had a nice rush there. That he was the reason they had the sack. I don't know if he got officially a half a sack or whatever, but he made the play. He was visible. He jumped out. That's what you want to see from young players in that setting. That's the significance of preseason games. How are the young guys doing? Are they showing that their talent has them belonging out there? Now, the guy he's trying to beat out, right, would be Cody Barton.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting. Blake Benningfield's breakdown of the game talks about Cody Barton as a potential guy that isn't a great fit for this defense, that could be matched up and exploited. And it happened a couple times last night. But I don't know if we can play the clip, but Connor, your answer that he got, it was not about the talent of Hill. It was about, does he know where to go? Like, does he understand the defense? Because that's important at that position.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I felt like you, he flashed me last night. I saw a lot of flashes from him. That interception I thought
That's a good thing.
Was textbook linebacker play. You bait the quarterback to the receiver and then jump on the ball. It was fantastic. And like you said, he was a huge part of that sack. I don't think he was officially credited with half a sack, but he was the reason for the sack. So to me, the reason I asked is because I think we're approaching, it's only a matter of time before we start to see him as a proven Mike in this league, and you slap a green dot on him and let him call the defense. I think he's getting there. He's still got some young mental makeup things to get through to be a star NFL player, but I think you're seeing some of the promise there, and it's good to see.
And remember, he is a young rookie. He's not just a rookie. He's a young rookie. He played just the 3 years of college ball. And when you see him talk, you get this real youthful excitement that he's got, but he appears young. Like, I'm checking his ID. If I'm the bouncer at the bar, I'm not to say, hey, come on in, you're good. I would say, let me see your ID. Of course, I've been asked for my ID many times here recently. I'm like, really? You need to see my ID?
By the way,
you got carded, Willy. You got to be carded.
You don't see the salt and pepper in the beard? You don't see the bald head? I mean,
shoop.
Come on.
Here's what I want to know. Tomorrow, you will be taking your son, Mahoney, national champion, back to college, or at least you're starting the journey tonight. You'll move him back in tomorrow. Clearly, he survived his 21st birthday weekend.
Yes.
Did he barely survive, or did he thrive?
Oh, it was a thrive. It was exciting. It was. We had a lot of fun. It was fun, and even the how should we call them? The Wiley vets. Hal Gill, Lindsey Rowley came in for part of the celebration on Saturday, and it was funny. Worlds came together, the generations came together.
Oh wow,
it was a blast. It was
The most important question is Hal ready for silly underdog picks on Wednesday?
He is ready, and he has his committee ready to go.
The committee let him down a lot last
they didn't
season.
hold him up much last year.
The committee in the season, I think they had some really good advice for him, and then I think he just
stopped listening to the good advice. I feel like.
I think we need to have a meeting with Hal before this pick. He needs to make sure he's on the same page with the committee.
Yes. By the way, silly underdog picks returns, commences, begins, restarts. Not week 0, Derek Mason.
Please, no.
Silly underdog picks returns Wednesday, 5:20, because we've got actual college football games this weekend in week 0.
There's no such.
So silly underdog picks featuring Derek Mason, myself, Hal Gill, and Chris Sanders begins again Wednesday at 5:20. 615-737-1025. All right, we will get into more of the Titans defense coming up next. We'll talk about the 2 explosive touchdowns allowed and the fact that the Titans starting defense has made Curtis Rourke and Drew Lock look like Tom Brady and Drew Brees reincarnated. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.